Most people believe that life slows down after retirement, but what if that's exactly when the real danger begins? The years between 65 and 75 may seem peaceful, but they're often when small, unnoticed habits quietly start cutting life short. From well-meaning routines to silent stressors, these years are more critical than most realize. If you're not careful, you might be trading independence and vitality for a slow decline without even knowing it. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden mistakes that quietly destroy longevity and show you how to avoid them starting today. The silent killers of routine. It's easy to assume that once we reach retirement age, life naturally becomes more relaxed and risk-free. But the truth is, some of the most dangerous threats to our well-being don't come from dramatic accidents or sudden illnesses. They come from the quiet, unnoticed routines we repeat every single day. And the scariest part? We often don't even realize they're hurting us until it's too late. Waking up late, skipping breakfast, sitting for hours without moving, brushing off small aches and pains. These habits may seem harmless, even comfortable, but over time they chip away at your health like slow-moving poison. A skipped meal here, a night of poor sleep there, and suddenly your energy drops, your immunity weakens, and your mind becomes more fragile. These patterns don't just affect your day, they shorten your future. Many seniors fall into routines built on convenience or comfort. But comfort isn't always healthy. Watching TV for long hours instead of staying active, avoiding social interaction because it's too much trouble, or ignoring checkups because nothing hurts right now. These are all silent killers. Not because they strike instantly, but because they lull you into a false sense of safety. Even mental routines can be dangerous. Constant worry, pessimistic thinking, or telling yourself, "I'm too old to change," creates emotional stagnation. And research shows that mental decline often begins not with memory loss, but with loss of curiosity and engagement. Your body might still function, but if your spirit gives up, your health will soon follow. So, how do you break free? Start by questioning your daily habits. Ask yourself, is this helping me live longer, or just helping me get by? Introduce small shifts, like walking in the morning, stretching during TV commercials, or calling a friend instead of scrolling alone. These changes may feel small, but they reset your system and signal to your mind and body that life isn't over. It's still worth living. Because here's the truth, it's not aging that makes life harder. It's letting routines go unchecked. And the good news? You can change them at any age. But routine isn't the only thing silently draining your years. Sometimes, it's what you believe that holds you back. Fortune-telling and fatalism. There's an old saying, 3 parts destiny, 7 parts effort. But for many elderly people, especially between the ages of 65 and 75, that mindset starts to fade. Instead of focusing on what they can control, they begin surrendering their health and future to fate. And that quiet surrender? It's more dangerous than most realize. Believing that what will be might seem peaceful on the surface, but it often leads to neglect. When someone believes their time is fixed by the stars or a palm reading, they may stop making healthy choices altogether. Why exercise, eat well, or go for a checkup if it's all already written? This way of thinking isn't calming, it's disempowering. The truth is, longevity isn't determined by tarot cards or horoscopes. It's shaped by your daily actions, your mindset, and your willingness to care for your body and spirit. Yet many seniors fall into the trap of magical thinking. They visit fortune tellers, cling to vague predictions, and make life decisions based on astrology instead of medical advice or real-life planning. And here's the dangerous part. These beliefs can delay important health decisions. Instead of seeing a doctor about a worrying symptom, someone might wait for a lucky day to pass. Or they might spend thousands on spiritual remedies instead of medication or therapy. Meanwhile, their condition quietly worsens, and the chance to fix it slips away. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having spiritual beliefs. Hope, faith, and tradition can all bring comfort. But when belief replaces responsibility, it becomes a hidden threat. The best luck you can have in old age isn't in the stars, it's in the lifestyle you build, the relationships you maintain, and the choices you make every day. So if you've ever caught yourself thinking, "It's out of my hands," remember this: your hands still work, your mind still thinks, and your body, though older, is still capable of change. Because believing in fate might feel comforting, but taking action, that's what actually changes the outcome. And speaking of action, there's one decision seniors often overlook until it's too late. It doesn't involve luck or belief, just common sense. And that's how we move, or more dangerously, how we fall, risky movements that lead to catastrophe. As we age, one simple truth becomes harder to ignore. The body changes. Reflexes slow down, bones become more fragile, and balance isn't what it used to be. But despite these changes, many seniors continue moving as if nothing's different, climbing ladders, carrying heavy loads, or rushing through slippery hallways. And that's when catastrophe strikes. The numbers don't lie. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury and death in older adults. One wrong step can lead to a fractured hip, a broken wrist, or worse, a permanent loss of mobility. In many cases, it's not the fall itself that shortens life, but the long recovery that follows. Months of lying in bed, developing infections, losing muscle strength, and facing the emotional weight of dependence. What's most alarming is that many of these injuries are completely avoidable. Seniors often take pride in their independence, refusing to ask for help, climbing on chairs to change light bulbs, or navigating dark rooms without proper lighting. They think, "I've done this 1,000 times, but all it takes is once. One slip, one dizzy moment, and everything changes." So how do you stay safe without feeling helpless? It starts with awareness. Accept that your body has changed, not as a weakness, but as a sign of wisdom. Adjust your environment. Install handrails, improve lighting, remove rugs or clutter that could trip you up. And most importantly, slow down. Rushing has no place in the later stages of life, especially when each step matters more than ever. Use support if you need it, canes, walkers, or a hand on someone's shoulder. There's no shame in protecting your health. In fact, it's one of the smartest, strongest things you can do. Because when you lose your balance, you don't just fall. You fall behind on everything else. Your independence, your confidence, and sometimes your will to keep going. Prevention is the real power in aging well. But mobility isn't the only thing that determines your freedom in old age. There's another silent factor, one most people ignore until it's too late: your money. And if you don't have control over your finances, someone else eventually will. Financial independence. In your younger years, money may have meant opportunity, status, or success. But in old age, it means something far more critical: independence. Without financial stability, even the simplest parts of life, like choosing your meals, paying for medicine, or deciding where you live, can slip out of your hands. Between the ages of 65 and 75, income typically shrinks. You retire, you stop working, and suddenly your lifestyle is dependent on a pension, savings, or support from others. For those who planned ahead, this phase can feel comfortable. But for many, it becomes a stressful balancing act, where every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. Here's what often happens. Older adults avoid going to the doctor because of high costs. They skip buying nutritious food to save a few dollars. They hesitate to hire help when they truly need it, out of fear of being a burden. And this leads to something far worse than poverty. It leads to dependence. When you don't have financial freedom, you become reliant on your children or relatives, that can strain relationships, trigger guilt, and even cause family conflict. You might feel like you're imposing. They might feel overwhelmed. Over time, the emotional cost becomes heavier than the financial one. That's why financial planning isn't just about numbers. It's about protecting your dignity. Saving, investing wisely, and spending consciously are tools that allow you to age with grace. And it's never too late to start making smart decisions. Cut unnecessary expenses, avoid get-rich-quick traps, and focus on creating a cushion that gives you options, not obligations. Having control over your own money means you can say yes when you want, no when you need, and live life on your terms. You won't have to ask permission to go somewhere, buy something, or get care. That's real freedom. And in old age, it's priceless. Because losing control of your finances isn't just inconvenient, it's a slippery slope toward losing control of your life. But while some seniors drain themselves financially, others do it physically, by refusing to rest. And the truth is, pushing your body too hard might be costing you more than you realize. Overwork and over-sacrifice. There's a quiet pride many seniors carry, the desire to stay useful, to keep contributing, to prove they're not old yet. It's admirable, even inspiring. But for many, this determination slowly turns into overwork, and that overwork quietly breaks the body down. Between the ages of 65 and 75, your strength may still feel intact, but your body's ability to recover is not what it used to be. You may push through fatigue, ignore aching joints, or brush off warning signs because you've handled worse before. But that mindset, though noble, is dangerous. The truth is, old injuries don't heal like they used to. Sleep doesn't restore you as deeply. And stress affects your heart, your blood pressure, and even your immune system more intensely than it did decades ago. Continuing to work long hours, lift heavy items, or overexert yourself at this stage in life isn't a sign of strength. It's a risk you can't afford to take. Many elderly individuals also feel guilty for slowing down. They keep working to help their children financially, care for grandkids full-time, or avoid feeling like a burden. But here's the hard truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. Sacrificing your health today means someone else will have to sacrifice even more to care for you tomorrow. And it's not just physical overwork, emotional labor counts too. Saying yes to every favor, never asking for help, constantly putting others' needs above your own. All of this adds up. It drains your energy, disrupts your peace, and weakens your body from the inside out. You've spent a lifetime working hard. This chapter should be about balance, not burnout. Instead of pushing yourself to the edge, choose light activity, flexible routines, and meaningful work that doesn't come at the cost of your well-being. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to stay busy, it's to stay healthy enough to enjoy the life you've built. But while some overwork themselves to feel useful, others go to the opposite extreme, saving every penny, even if it hurts their own health and happiness. And that brings us to another silent trap of old age: extreme frugality. Frugality that becomes self-neglect. There's a certain wisdom that comes with growing older, like knowing the value of $1. Many seniors have lived through hard times, and frugality becomes second nature. Saving leftovers, avoiding unnecessary expenses, reusing old clothes. These habits reflect resilience. But when that frugality crosses a line, it can become something more dangerous: self-neglect. Too many elderly people deny themselves basic comforts under the illusion that they're being responsible. They refuse to turn on the heater in winter to save on electricity. They eat stale food instead of spending money on fresh groceries. They delay doctor visits to avoid medical bills. It starts small, but over time, these sacrifices slowly erode health, joy, and even dignity. Here's the irony. After a lifetime of hard work, this is the time to finally enjoy the fruits of it. A warm meal, a clean outfit, a hobby you always dreamed of. These aren't luxuries. They're part of what makes life worth living. Yet some seniors feel guilty for spending even small amounts on themselves, convinced that every penny should be saved just in case. But here's the truth. You can't take your savings with you. And saving money while sacrificing health, nutrition, or happiness is a poor trade-off. In fact, it often backfires. Eating poorly can lead to medical conditions that cost far more in treatment than prevention. Neglecting comfort can worsen mental health and isolation. And refusing to spend on joy can make life feel painfully empty. It's not about reckless spending, it's about smart spending. Invest in good food, safe housing, regular checkups, and experiences that uplift your spirit. Enjoy a favorite meal. Buy the comfortable shoes. Visit the place you've always wanted to see. You've earned it. Because extreme frugality doesn't protect your future. It slowly steals your present. But frugality isn't the only way seniors lose control of their lives. Sometimes, the pressure comes from a place they never expected, inside their own homes. And that's where we head next. The risky decision to give up your home, and the freedom that comes with it. The trap of selling your home. At a certain age, conversations start to shift. Children gently suggest downsizing. Friends talk about retirement communities. And suddenly, the home you've lived in for decades, the one filled with memories, milestones, and meaning, starts to feel like a burden. Many seniors are persuaded to sell their homes with promises of convenience, safety, or family closeness. But what often goes unspoken is what's really being given up: control, privacy, and peace of mind. Your home isn't just a building, it's your anchor. It holds the rhythm of your life, the familiar corners, the comforting smells, the tiny routines that ground you. When you sell it, even for good reasons, you risk losing more than square footage. You may lose a sense of self. Moving in with children might sound ideal, but it can quickly lead to tension. Different lifestyles, lack of privacy, and unspoken expectations can cause emotional strain. Seniors who were once independent may find themselves adjusting their schedules, habits, and even opinions, just to avoid conflict. And in that subtle shift, freedom quietly disappears. Of course, there are situations where selling the home or moving is necessary, like when health makes living alone unsafe. But the decision should never be rushed or made solely to help the family. Too often, seniors give up their home to make others comfortable, not realizing the long-term emotional toll it takes on them. Staying in your own space, if it's safe and manageable, preserves autonomy. It allows you to make your own decisions, enjoy your routines, and age with dignity. If help is needed, consider hiring support rather than sacrificing the one place where you feel truly you. Because once you let go of that space, getting back the same sense of independence is nearly impossible. A familiar home can be the difference between surviving and thriving in old age. But if your home is your foundation, your beliefs about health can be the roof over your head. And in a world full of hype and advertising, many seniors fall into the next trap, buying so-called miracle health products that promise everything and deliver nothing. The final 3 mindsets for a fulfilling old age. As the body slows down, the mind becomes more important than ever. In fact, your mindset can shape your health, your relationships, and even how long you live. While habits affect your physical well-being, the way you think, especially in later years, can be the ultimate life extender or quiet destroyer. And after speaking with dozens of elderly people who are thriving well into their 80s and 90s, 3 core mindsets stood out. 1. Stay optimistic, even when it hurts. Aging brings challenges. Aches, illnesses, and goodbyes become part of daily life. But the seniors who live the longest and happiest share one thing in common. They refuse to give up on joy. They laugh, they hope, and they still find beauty in ordinary things. Even during illness, they focus on what they can do, not what they've lost. Science backs this up. Optimism has been linked to better heart health, lower stress levels, and even reduced risk of death. Positivity isn't naive, it's powerful. 2. Let go of guilt and expectations. One of the deepest sources of emotional pain in old age comes from unmet expectations, especially around family. Seniors often feel disappointed when children can't care for them, or guilty when they become a burden. But the reality is, your children have their own lives. Accepting this with grace, not resentment, is key to emotional peace. Don't bind others with your pain. Ask for help when necessary, but don't demand sacrifices. If you can afford it, hire assistance. Maintain your dignity by managing your own life as much as possible. Forgiveness, both of others and yourself, is a gift that keeps you emotionally free. 3. Keep growing until the very end. Just because your body slows down doesn't mean your mind has to. Seniors who read, explore new hobbies, stay curious, and even learn new skills show stronger cognitive health and greater happiness. They don't see aging as a countdown. They see it as an opportunity to deepen understanding, connect more meaningfully, and leave behind a legacy. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start fading. These mindsets aren't just ideas, they're lifelines. Adopt them, and your final decades can be filled with clarity, independence, and true fulfillment. But even the strongest mind can falter when emotions take over. And next, we'll explore the most common emotional trap that quietly ruins health: unchecked negative emotions. A long, healthy life isn't just about what you do. It's about how you think, feel, and live each day. If this video helped shift your perspective, imagine what the next one could do. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss out on insights that could add years and joy to your life.